Hello, my name is Andrew Geary, and welcome to Seismic Sound Off, in-depth conversations in applied geophysics. In this episode, I speak with Myrto Papadopoulou and Farbod Khosro Anjom on the recent advances in surface wave tomography for near-surface applications from August The Leading Edge. In this episode, Myrto and Farbod discuss why surface wave tomography has not been applied regularly to near-surface applications, highlight more efficient models that they developed, explain how automatic data screening allowed for their breakthroughs, and examine what future advances in surface wave tomography will occur. Visit seg.org/podcast to read Myrto and Farbod's article, as well as the rest of the links for August The Leading Edge. This episode is brought to you by TGS. TGS offers a wide range of energy data and insights to meet the industry where it's at and where it's headed. TGS provides scientific data and intelligence to companies active in the energy sector. In addition to a global, extensive, and diverse energy data library, TGS offers specialized services such as advanced processing and analytics, alongside cloud-based data applications and solutions. Now, for our conversation. Well, thanks for taking time all the way out from Italy and on your summertime. I'm excited to look at the leading edge for August. So the paper that you all published in August, The Leading Edge, is titled Advances in Surface Wave Tomography for Near-Surface Applications. Before we explore how it's used in near-surface applications, could you briefly explain how this technique is used more readily, maybe to image the Earth's structure?
Yes, surface wave tomography is a method that is well known and has been well established in the field of global seismology, where it has been used for decades to map features of the Earth at global and regional scale. The method is based on the analysis of the signal measured by different stations, and for each station pair, the seismic signal is cross-correlated. It's based on the interferometry principles to extract a dispersion curve that characterizes the path between the two receivers. Having many dispersion curves from different receiver pairs, these are inverted in a tomographic approach to retrieve a velocity model that is usually a shear wave velocity model, a VS model. And because of the way the dispersion curves are extracted between the pairs of receivers and a high data coverage can be achieved, and because of the tomographic inversion, this method is known to be of high resolution.
High resolution is a very important thing. And why has surface wave tomography not been applied maybe more consistently to near-surface applications in the past?
Indeed, the most common approach the most common surface wave approach for near-surface characterization is multi-channel approach, in which instead of using only two receivers recording at a time, several traces are used to estimate a dispersion curve. Given that several traces are used, a high signal-to-noise ratio is expected. It is very robust and convenient, but at the same time, it suffers from lateral variations. With the expected lateral variability at the level of near surface, the surface wave tomography can be very beneficial, but as you said, it was rarely applied. There are many factors for this, but the most important one is probably the long processing time to reach high resolution models with the surface wave tomography. Many dispersion curves, much more than MASW, should be peaked. Usually this peaking stage is performed manually by an operator and leads to long processing time. At the same time, using two-station method, various modes of surface wave, which are very expected at the near surface level due to the complexity of the region. The two-station method cannot separate the various modes of surface wave. And even if only the fundamental mode is the target for the surface wave tomography, it can be contaminated with the higher modes and create large uncertainties for the estimated models. And the last thing that I can think of is the estimation of P-wave velocity. This is not only restricted to surface wave tomography, but this is an issue for surface wave methods in general. The VP is usually not accounted for in these methods since the surface wave dispersion curve is considered less sensitive to VP as it is to VS models.
Now, looking specifically to this paper, why did you all develop for surface wave tomography, or what did you all develop for surface wave tomography to make it more efficient and produce these models that you desired?
Well, in an effort to tackle the limitations that were described by Farbod, first of all, we developed a processing tool that is completely automatic and data-driven and can provide a large number of dispersion curves input to surface wave tomography without the involvement of an operator at any stage. So it's pretty convenient. To be able to handle higher modes, we developed a processing tool that basically isolates the different modes in the data, and then the data are processed again automatically for the different modes, and we can pick multi-mode set of dispersion curves. And we also implemented multi-mode inversion into the scheme of tomography to be able to use the different mode dispersion curves into a unique inversion, a unique tomographic inversion. And finally, to be able to estimate also VP, we integrated surface wave tomography with another surface wave method, which is pretty new. It's called the wavelength depth method, which can be used to estimate the Poisson ratio using only surface waves. And this Poisson ratio allows us to convert the tomographic VS model into a high-resolution tomographic VP model.
Yeah, that's impressive there. In the paper itself, you outlined 2 case studies talking about this. Could you briefly outline one of those 2 case studies in the article that demonstrate these powerful uses of surface wave tomography?
Okay, one of the data sets that was processed in the article was acquired in Papua New Guinea, PNG. It was a very interesting data set. It was acquired. It was a 3D pilot data set that was acquired under METIS research project. METIS was created to revolutionize acquisition technologies and to create a system that facilitates acquisition in remote areas such as foothills and forests with extreme environments. In this context, in the context of METIS's acquisition, the receivers are placed in a container and they're delivered to predefined location using drones. And they are dropped from the sky to these locations. We wanted to test if the surface wave data available in this data set, which was acquired with novel technologies, can be used to estimate a 3D velocity model.
You used some kind of key words there that just made me think of cutting edge. And this next question kind of gets to that of how did utilizing the state-of-the-art acquisition technology impact your study?
Indeed, there were a lot of challenges, but these challenges were at the same time exciting dealing with this data set. First of all, we had to check the quality of the data that was recorded using this technology. Specifically, we had to check the surface wave data available and see if we were able to use them to perform the processing of the surface wave tomography. At the same time, as I mentioned before, the acquisition was performed in the forests of PNG, and the receivers were only delivered in the locations that were accessible from the skies, to be more exact, in the gaps between the trees. Also, the sources, the mudgun sources that were used were limited to the more accessible locations, basically in the access roads. This whole acquisition scheme provided a full 3D irregular geometry of deployed sources and receivers that was not designed for the surface wave tomography. At the same time, given that this data was pilot data set, small number of sources and receivers were used, which limited us to reach the sufficient data coverage that we required for the surface wave tomography. However, including the high modes of the surface wave, we were able to reach the good data coverage and achieve a successful application of surface wave tomography and obtain high resolution VSMVP models.
What did moving away from human processing demands to this more automatic data screening, what impact did that have on the study?
Well, automation allowed us to easily extract a large number of dispersion curves in a very convenient way. And for instance, in our other case study from a mining site in Sweden, we were able to pick 2,500 dispersion curves along the line. And having this dense data coverage, we were able to create an initial model for the inversion, for the tomographic inversion, with a very dense grid, and obtain a model that provided also small scale anomalies. It was very, very detailed. Comparing our results with traditional multi-channel analysis, we saw that these kind of anomalies were not depicted by the multi-channel analysis. If we didn't have this automatic tool to feed high coverage to the tomography, it would not be feasible to do it with a manual approach.
Well, that's exciting that this technology and the tools you're using are allowing you to do some new things. How does the method you highlight in this article support a more comprehensive understanding of the near surface environment?
As was mentioned before, the automatic processing that was developed allowed us to estimate a large number of dispersion curves, which ultimately results in high resolution models. At the same time, with the muting strategy in the two-station method, we were able to separate the modes and include various modes of surface wave in the tomographic inversion. And thanks to the larger wavelength usually associated with the higher modes, longer investigation depth were achieved. We also, in this work, we also accounted for the VP model. We estimated the VP model that can be used for geotechnical purposes, for static corrections and other applications.
One of the exciting things I'm sure when you're working on these papers, I always like to ask, did any of your findings at the end of the day particularly surprise you?
Well, one of our two case studies, the one in Ludvika, this was part of a very big European project called Smart Exploration, which basically developed tools for mineral exploration, innovative tools. And this site was really deeply studied by many researchers with different geophysical methods. So we did have a wealth of information. So more or less, it was also a test for us it served as a benchmark for us to make sure that our method provides results that make sense with respect to the a priori information. But in any case, we saw that we were able to depict features that we could only assume earlier, such as a shallow fault or a fracture zone, etc. The other case study, the PNG, well, in this case, it was a virgin area, so to our knowledge, no other studies exist that provide information. So let's say that all the results that we achieved with surface wave tomography were a surprise.
Quite novel, I would say there. What are you excited? What would you like to explore next for near surface applications with surface wave tomography?
Our automatic processing step is at very good stage, I can say. The next step would be to move to real-time processing and inversion, so that we can update a draft of the model in real time when the data are being acquired. And also, most of our applications were limited to exploration type of data. We would like to apply the method to more challenging data sets, such as the ones that are acquired in urban environments.
What new technology or future advances, maybe that's not happened yet or on the horizon, are you most excited about that will improve surface wave tomography?
Well, I think that since our target would be a real-time tool that can be used while acquiring the data, perhaps moving towards more cloud-based data storage and analysis could be very beneficial to this kind of real-time approach. But also, of course, the continuous improvement of the equipment, the sources, the receivers, moving towards more broadband data can be very, very beneficial for surface wave tomography, considering that they can provide wider investigation depth to our retrieved models.
Well, thank you both for putting together this paper. I know you had other co-authors as well. Thank you for sharing the work that you all are working on and using surface wave tomography in the near surface. That's a novel and new approach. So thanks for sharing with the leading edge audience what are the possibilities with this technology.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for listening to SEG's flagship podcast, Seismic Sound Off. SEG produces these episodes to benefit its members, the geophysics community, and inform the public on the value of the science. To show your support for the show, please share this episode with a friend, colleague, or manager that would enjoy hearing this show. Your recommendation is the single best action you can take on behalf of SEG's podcast. To receive the latest episodes first, follow Seismic Sound Off on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. The SEG podcast team is Ted Bakamjian, Kathy Gamble, and Ally McGinnis. Thank you for listening. This is Seismic Sound Off, signaling off.